Hey, what's in this
No
drink?
cabs to be had out there.
I wish I knew how.
Your eyes are like stars
to
right now.
break this spell.
I'll take your hat. Your hair looks
I
swell.
ought to say no, no, no.
Mind if
sir.
I move in closer?
At least I'm gonna say that I tried.
What's the sense of her?
That's the classic Christmas song, Baby It's Cold Outside. It was written during the Second World War, and it's been a Christmas staple ever since. But some people are now finding offense with some of those lyrics. The song has been characterized as, quote, rapey. Needless to say, there was a balderdized, politically correct version written and recorded with updated lyrics. Here's a sad sample of it.
What is this drink?
Pomegranate LaCroix.
I wish I knew how.
Maybe I'll help you
to
out.
break this spell.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I ought to say no, no, no,
You
sir.
reserve the right to say no.
At least I'm gonna say that I tried.
You reserve the
Quick, which version is more appealing? That's rhetorical, of course. Joining us now, Vox reporter Emily Crockett, who's written a ton about both versions of the song. Emily, it's great to see you.
Great to see you too, Tucker.
Now, feminists, maybe unfairly, have had this reputation as humorless scolds, as you
Quite
know.
unfairly, yeah.
I'm not sure attacks on this song do much to fight that perception.
Sure. So I think your first problem is considering it an attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's...
Well, you called it rapey. That's not a positive.
Wait, did I call it rapey?
Well, you said others have called it rapey.
Yeah. So what I did in my piece is I did two readings of it, right? So I did the rapey reading and the romantic reading. Because when I listen to this song, I honestly have sort of two reactions to it, right? Like in the context of the time, I think it's pretty clear that, you know, women did not have much sexual agency in the 40s, right? Like women were not really allowed to express sexual desire or to, you know, take initiative in starting, you know, a sexual situation. And so they sort of had to play hard to get or had to just allow themselves to be seduced rather than, you know, say, like, this is what I want. And so...
But the decision was fundamentally theirs, wouldn't you say?
Well, sure. Well...
So wouldn't that put them in control?
Wouldn't what put them in the control?
Well, if the decision is yours, you're not a passive victim, you're in the driver's seat. If the question is, do you assent or not, if someone's trying to persuade you, that suggests it's your decision.
Well, so that's an interesting way of putting it.
Wasn't that true?
There's a difference between, so like putting pressure on a woman to have sex is just not cool for a variety. Like there's a difference between like a negotiation and, you know, a predation, right? So when you look at the original version of this song, the interesting thing is that the man's part is labeled wolf and the woman's part is labeled mouse, which is like, oh, that's kind of creepy. But so I mean, there's when you listen to this song,
why is that creepy?
Because, you know, like it's like making the man a predator and the woman a prey.
But
like instead of
isn't seduction about ambivalence? On some, I mean,
it doesn't have to be.
Okay, so if it's not about ambivalence, it's not seduction, though, right?
Well, so the question is, you know, is seduction the ideal?
Okay.
Right? Like, so the question here is, do we want women to have sexual agency? Do we want women to have a say? Right? Do we want women to just sort of to always only be pursued? Because really, when you look at this
I feel like I'm back at Vassar now in my feminist poetry class. Let me just, I didn't go to Vassar, just kidding. But
I didn't.
So you have this flash of self-awareness at the end of the piece, which I just loved. You said this. You did. This was the bright part of the piece. I thought at a certain point, spending hundreds of words close reading a Christmas song starts to feel a little silly.
Oh, of course.
What's the point of yelling at people on the internet about this? Do you wish you'd stop there?
No.
No.
Well, so it is a Vox explainer, right? Because this is a debate on the internet, and people have been hearing about it and reading about it.
Right.
And the reason I wrote the piece is that people might be curious why this is a debate. So the issue is that it's a debate over whether the song promotes, you know, problematic ideas of consent, right?
Don't you think that's a debate that's completely confined to small groups of silly rich people?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay. So here's my question. I mean, I want to take this seriously, and I feel there are threats to women's, as you put, agency and rights, and one of them is female genital mutilation, which is really common in the United States among immigrants and refugees.
Yeah.
Really common.
Yeah, but
hundreds of thousands of people at risk for that. I never hear
Sure.
feminists mention it at all.
I hear feminists mention it a lot.
You do? Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen a
Yeah,
Vox
but also
piece
like
on it.
that is a just totally, you know, that is a distraction from the issue. Like, just because there are worse things, we can't care about.
But that's
rape.
like the worst thing I can imagine.
I don't know.
This is
Do
a
you-
Christmas song that's like, yeah, okay, maybe it was written 70 years ago.
So here's the thing: culture matters, right? Like what we listen to, and I know conservatives feel this way too about culture, right? Like we worry about the signals we're sending our kids. And if the signal we're sending our young men is that it's okay to badger and pressure and not listen to a woman, not respect her.
Well, I'm against
when
that.
she says no. But if you listen to the song. So again,
Wait,
I
but
have
hold on,
very
is it-
ambivalent feelings about it. Right?
I can tell that you do, but
Yeah.
isn't it maybe even a bigger threat to our country and our minds to politicize art relentlessly?
No.
You don't think it is?
Well,
so there can be no safe space from politics? Everything is about political ideology? Doesn't that make you a little, isn't that a little Orwellian? No? A little bit.
So there is a difference between politicization and criticism and analysis and discussion. We should be able to analyze and discuss our culture without being accused of being PC police, right? That's silly.
Unless, of course, we are PC police.
But
in which
we're
case,
not.
in which case I think it's fair.
Anytime we criticize something.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Emily, it was
Well,
great to see you.
it was
You've
great to see you,
transported me
too.
back to college. I think I got a B in that course. Hope I got a higher grade tonight. Thank you.